weather, and entertainment. Trust us to keep moving with you. Text TV to 52886 and tell Congress local broadcasting is here to stay.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's that time again. It's heating up. Your boat's getting ready to come out and spend all summer on the water. It's time to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service, where if you want an incredible custom speaker install, it's going to blow people away in the water, that's there for you. You want an HD sonar where you can see the fish under the water before you cast, beat all your friends, that's there for you at front-to-back boat service. So don't put it off. We got the parts in right now. Get them now before they go back on back order. Front-to-back boat service.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust poll of the day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, anytime. Hunt Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the poll of the day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
All right, let's say ah.
Where'd my spotlight go?
Super weird, but we can take care of it.
Get in and get better at Patient Plus.
Bayou Ford has $10,000 off MSRP on select new 2022 Ford F-150 trucks. $10,000 off plus 0% financing. And all new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Moon Griffon is back. The voice of Louisiana politics makes his return to Baton Rouge. Catch the Moon Griffon Show weekdays from 9 to 11 a.m. on Talk 107.3.
One, 2, 6, 8, 1. Now, Hunt Palmer. Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Holding down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. This is Hunt Palmer.
Welcome in. Hunt Palmer coming to you from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio downtown in the capital city on a Monday, Championship Monday here in the capital city, as the Lady Tigers have returned home. They are in the PMAC celebrating, as they very well should. We will get to a lot of that here over the first hour of our show. Big weekend win for LSU baseball over Tennessee. Got to crown a national championship in men's basketball tonight, which we'll get to. I've also got some SEC baseball thoughts from what we saw over the weekend, but it is a celebratory time here in Baton Rouge for Kim Mulkey and the Lady Tigers. They finish off one heck of a season. I think we thought they would be better this year. And you saw that non-conference schedule and thought, well, we'll find some things out in February, I guess. And we found some things out in March, and they played all the way to April. And they are the national champions in college basketball, and the first time anyone in LSU history has won a basketball national championship, and they deserve a ton of credit for it. I said this last week when they won and got to the Final Four. I said, look, we talk about coaching searches all the time in this market because it's college football centric, and we talk about things that go on around the country in the Southeastern Conference. We talk about football hires all the time, and you always say there's no sure thing, but there are some sure things, and this is what we talked about 10 years ago. If you hired Nick Saban or you hired Urban Meyer, you were going to win a national championship. As long as you weren't a school with so few resources that it was impossible. But if you hired those two at a school with some resources, you were going to win a national championship. Outside of that, it was pretty much do the best you can. And that applies to very, very few coaches in sports. Kim Mulkey's one. When that call was made and we found out that Kim Mulkey was leaving Baylor to come to LSU, it was not a question of would she win a national championship or could she win a national championship. It was how quickly will she win a national championship. That was the discussion. And I think a lot of people looked at this team, the start they got off to, and the signing class that's coming in with how little they lose, relatively speaking, and said, okay, next year they should have a really good shot. Because it was difficult to sit here with a straight face and say, yeah, I think they could beat South Carolina. I mean, we saw that game. It was not pretty. It was over quickly. But that is the randomness that the men's tournament has created for a long time, that the women's tournament is starting to create. LSU's still the first national champion in over a decade that wasn't a 1 seed. So the randomness doesn't quite apply to the women's tournament yet. It's coming because the sport's growing, and LSU's evidence of that. But it just didn't feel like that was going to be possible for anyone to beat South Carolina. Too big, too physical, too strong, too deep. It wasn't going to happen. But Iowa's one of those teams that can make it happen because they're such a microwave on offense, and they have the player that can just carry the game. And she just straight up beat South Carolina. Caitlin Clark scored 40-plus on them, and it was an absolutely offensive clinic. And that's what it kind of takes. So LSU has got to, wake up on Sunday morning and go, man, got a good chance here. It's a good team across there, but it's not the juggernaut. Just a good team with a bad defense. And so you feel like as if you're LSU, like, okay, we got a real chance to win this game. And I'm going to go through the game and kind of give my thoughts on what we saw. But I'm just going to start with the big picture here. I am with LSU baseball every step of the way, and with the good LSU basketball teams that we had pretty much every step of the way of the Will Wade era. It's different in football. In football, you got to be great in September and October and November and December and January if you want to win a title. You have to be great all the way through, because if you lose a couple of games, it's over. You don't have to be great all the way through in college baseball or men's college basketball or women's college basketball. And in those sports, you sit there and you analyze the way that your team is playing at the beginning of the season, at the middle of the season, towards the end of the season, and you're just really hoping that they come up with their best when it matters the most. Skip's teams just always did. They just always did. And it's a mark of a great coach, and it's also the mark of a great team, and there's also a little fortune involved. You just hope throughout the season that your team comes with their best when they need it. I don't think LSU can play any better than they did last night. I don't know that. I didn't watch every game they played. I got a reasonable feel for the roster after paying really close attention for the last month. I don't think they can play any better than that. I tweeted out that may have been the most impressive half of offensive basketball I've ever seen at any level, given the moment and the situation in terms of personnel with the foul trouble. It may have been the best offensive performance I have ever seen. I'll get to the stats. You watched it probably. But I'm not trying to be hyperbolic. I'm really not. But you look at what they did, and that's just your hope. You could just as easily go out there in the national championship game, be just as good a team, have just an impressive record, and go out there and shoot 13% from the three-point range because they just aren't falling that day. And it wouldn't necessarily be anybody's fault. It would just be, it's basketball. It's a shot-making or missing sport. And my goodness, were they making them. At a clip that you could not have, under any circumstance, forecasted, because this team isn't even a great three-point shooting team. I talked to Michael Cobble when he was in Greenville. I said, looking back at the first two games in Baton Rouge, can they win 2 games this weekend shooting like they did in Baton Rouge? Probably not. Well, Miami just couldn't make anything. And you got by them. But in the moment, in that situation for LSU to play the way that they did in that first half it's storybook. So kind of get into the game flow here briefly. Like, LSU turned it over 3 times real quick. Flau'jae had a couple of bad turnovers, and it was 90 seconds in. They had 3 turnovers. After that, it was a Naismith-esque basketball clinic. I mean, in the first half, in totality, LSU scored 59 points in the final. In the first half, they shot 58% from the floor. They were 9 of 12 from 3 in the first half. And oh, by the way, they threw in 8 of 9 free throws. If you take away those 3 quick turnovers in the first 90 seconds, they only had 4 turnovers the rest of the time in the first half. And shot 75% from 3 and 58% from the floor. You got Angel Reese to the bench with foul trouble. You got Alexis Morris to the bench with foul trouble. Those are your 2 best scoring options. Alexis off the dribble in terms of creating what she can create, and Angel Reese being a force on the offensive glass and around the rim. And you've lost both of those offensively. And then Jasmine Carson just starts throwing them in. And then Poa comes in and buries a couple. And it wasn't just threes. They were getting the ball to the rim as well. LaDasia Williams hitting that mid-range that was so important for them in Greenville. Every single person contributed offensively in the first half. The one thing I would have liked to seen a little bit more in the first half from LSU offensively would be to make Caitlin Clark guard more. She was in foul trouble, and I didn't think LSU put nearly enough stress on her playing defense. She could not play defense. She was just getting out of the way. There was one drive on a fast break where it was one-on-one, and Clark's back there, and I don't even remember who it was for an LSU's team that was going to the rim, but they didn't really make her. It was Alexis Morris because she tried the little one-handed reverse layup instead of just going right at Caitlin Clark, who was not going to foul. They need her to go score. That was my only complaint with LSU's offense in the first half, is that they didn't make the Iowa girls who were in foul trouble play a little bit more defense. And then to LSU's credit, a lot of credit, they go out in the second half after throwing in threes from everywhere and did not settle for threes in the second half. How easy would it have been, up 17, shooting the lights out in 3, to come out in the second half and just keep chucking them from deep, which is not their game. And they didn't. They shot 5 threes in the second half. They shot 29 twos and 12 free throws. Aggressive, aggressive, aggressive. And then the performance that I think is getting way overlooked by everyone. I have heard ESPN talk about this. I have heard our station talk about this. I have not heard our station. I have not heard anyone give Alexis Morris the credit she deserves for what she did in the fourth quarter of that game. LSU said, okay, we can run some clock. We're going to run the shot clock down, and we're going to put it in Alexis Morris' hands to finish this game. The girl who's transferred 3 different times, who's had to find her place. Not the Bayou Barbie, who's got all the Instagram follows. Not Jasmine Carson, who's scores 1 million in the first half. Not Flau'jae, the SEC Freshman of the Year. Alexis Morris, you're going to close this game out. And they put her in high ball screens and did not move anybody else on the floor. And she continued to pull up from the mid-range and bury them. 6 for 6 from the floor in the fourth quarter, including a 3-ball from Alexis Morris. That is Mariano Rivera. That is, if you want to use the basketball term, that's Michael Jordan. It wasn't a one-possession game. It wasn't the shot over over Russell with the Jazz at the end of the game, but it was closing the thing out. I was so impressed with her her ability to be calm and cool and collected, work that high ball screen, decide where she wanted to get on the floor, pull up from 12 feet, buried every one of them. Incredible performance by Alexis Morris at the end of that game to finish it for the Tigers. They scored 102 points in the final. 102. I came on here after the Miami game last Monday, and I said, look, that is an unbelievable accomplishment for LSU. They should be so proud. This program is on the right track. And oh, by the way, that was a very poorly played basketball game by both sides. Yes, LSU played some defense. Yes, Miami played some defense. It was awful shooting from the start to the finish. And it was. It was an awfully played offensive game. But LSU came back 7 days later against a team that you were going to have to score 75 points on, no doubt. As good as LSU's defense is, you were not going to hold Iowa to 67 points. Like, that was not going to happen. And they came out and executed and played what has got to be their best offensive game of the year. I can't imagine they played a better one. I know they scored more points. They were scoring 100 on everybody in November. It wasn't Iowa, and it wasn't in the championship game. Amazing, amazing accomplishment by LSU, and quite frankly, they're probably not done, which is an exciting thing. But you can never take them for granted. So enjoy this one. They had a great crowd over there in Dallas. It was one that was accessible for LSU fans, a little better than Seattle or wherever they could have been. It's a 3-hour drive from Northwest Louisiana. Quick direct flight if you're down here in the southeast portion of the state, or you could drive it. And LSU had a great crowd there. I know some people that were there, and what a moment for this program, climbing the mountain for the first time ever. Kim Mulkey brings her home state its first national title. And LSU's celebrating the PMAC right now, and they'll do so some more Wednesday in the evening where they will have a parade. Matt will have some more details for you coming up on After Further Review. I still have more to talk about with LSU and Iowa and some of the things that we saw in the game over the weekend. Officiating and the taunting stuff. I've got my thoughts on it. That's next on the Hunt Palmer Show.
Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
The final game of the tournament is here, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. That's because right now, FanDuel is giving new customers a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's right, up to $1,000 back in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win tonight. So go to FanDuel.com/1045ESPN and sign up today to claim that no-sweat first bet. Then you can wager on everything from the money line to point spreads to which team will be cutting down the net. It's all in an app that's safe, secure, and super easy to use. So don't miss your shot at a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000 when you join FanDuel today. Just go to FanDuel.com/1045ESPN to sign up. Make every moment more with FanDuel. Must be 21 and present in Louisiana. First online real money wager only. $10 deposit required. Refund issued non-withdrawable bonus bet that expires in 14 days. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. If you're somebody who has a gambling problem wants help, call 1-877-770-STOP.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
For over a century, local broadcasting has evolved with the needs of the community. We move past the stigmas of opinion journalism and bring the most relevant news online, on air, and on the go. You have trusted us with your news, sports, weather, and entertainment. Trust us to keep moving with you. Text TB to 52886 and tell Congress local broadcasting is here to stay.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
All right, let's say ah.
Where'd my spotlight go?
Super weird, but we can take care of it.
Get in and get better at Patient Plus.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage.
Charles Hannegriff, join us for the Tuesday edition of Hanny Time. More in the celebration following LSU's women's basketball team winning the national title. LSU baseball in action against Nichols, and Dwayne Colucci from Las Vegas. Hanny Time, noon weekdays, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Talking some LSU baseball here in about 10 minutes. Tigers get 2 of 3 from Tennessee, but the story of the day, obviously, the Lady Tigers hoisting the national championship trophy for the first time in program history. Kim Mulkey promised a banner in her introductory press conference. She will hang one coming up in the fall. That is an unbelievable accomplishment for the Lady Tigers, and it looks like they're just getting started. If you look at the roster that they've got, what's coming back, and what they will bring in, it looks like a team that's going to be a force for years to come. And that was pretty predictable when they hired Kim Mulkey. I want to talk about the officiating last night briefly. I know Charlie did 25 minutes ago, and I will as well. They called the game too tight. I know you're going to get ref show, and we don't care that you're here, and we're here to see the best players, and that's all true. You want to see the best players, and but if there are fouls, they've got to be called. I thought it was just called too tight. There can be a little bit of contact on the dribble. There can be a little bit of physicality to defense, and it was just far too tight, which is why I wanted LSU driving on Caitlin Clark every time in the second quarter, because they're not going to let you touch anybody. So she's got to back off. Well, that's going to create some significant issues. The Angel Reese's second foul was not a foul. I thought Iowa got one trying to block a shot that wasn't a foul. It was just too tight. I honestly didn't think Caitlin Clark's third foul, when they called her for the offense, it was close. I'm not saying that was an atrocious call, but I could live with that amount of contact and not being called. I thought it was too tight. The technical foul is egregious. You cannot make that call on Caitlin Clark. You cannot. I do not need to see you bringing up the rule book saying that we issued a warning to Iowa for delay of game because the ball was not immediately returned to the official, and once that had happened, as according to Rule 12C-X Clause 14, that you have to return the basketball directly to the official. Here are the two options the official has in that spot. When the National Player of the Year has 3 fouls in the second half of the national championship game, there are two options here. I can, one, watch Caitlin Clark flip the basketball behind her back toward the goal, go pick it up as play is stopped, and return it to action. Or two, I can strictly interpret and enforce the rule and give a technical foul to a player who flipped the basketball 13 feet behind her back. I'm going to allow the official to use some common sense here. This is not difficult. If she gets into a fist fight on the floor, we'll give her the technical. If we tell her, if there's a coach who won't leave the floor, we'll give you a technical. If you, for the 7th time, won't shut your mouth and are in somebody's face jawing, well, we may have to give you a technical. Flipping the ball, it's a pretty important spot in the game. I don't think that Caitlin Clark's mind was saying, man, I'm really going to mess with these refs. I'm going to make her walk all the way over there and pick the ball up. She just she wasn't throw with the call, and she flipped the ball toward where it's going to be inbounded from. There's just got to be some common sense here. It goes back to last week when the umpire in a spring training game ejects JT Realmuto because he thought he moved his glove. We've got to stop with disqualifications and massive game-altering plays because officials have their feelings hurt. I can't get on board with this. Y'all have heard me complain about this for like 7 years. And there's always, always, always going to be someone who will say, well, the rule says you can't do that. I just can't believe if that comes out of your mouth, you actually believe that the National Player of the Year in a game she's worked for her entire life flips a basketball 15 feet towards, she didn't throw it in the stands. She flipped it towards the baseline. That you think that warrants her being taken out of the game? There's just no way. That was awful. And then we get to the taunting thing, which has been made a massive, massive deal by everyone except the people involved. No one from South Carolina said a word about Caitlin Clark waving off a player or doing the can't see me thing. No one said a word about that from South Carolina. And Caitlin Clark got asked about Angel Reese pointing to a ring finger and doing the can't see me, and she was like, whatever. That's because this generation of athlete that is between 18 and 21 has grown up with this their entire lives. They have no concept of what went on in the 60s when no one celebrated anything. There's just a little bit of that in basketball. She didn't get in anybody's face. Nobody threw any. There was no elevation of moods or tempers or anything. It's just kind of part of it. You understand when you take the floor, when you take the field, when you take the court, that there's a little bit of talking going on out there. There's a little bit of energy being brought out there. There's a line somewhere. Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark weren't anywhere close to the line, in my opinion. And ESPN's just going nuts. This is on every talk show there is. The story should be LSU having bench girls splash 8 threes in the first half. It should be a Jasmine Carson hadn't scored since Valentine's Day, basically, and she's going 5 for 5 from 3. That's the story. Not Angel Reese pointing to a ring finger for 1.9 seconds and attempting to make eye contact with the National Player of the Year, who also likes to talk a little bit out there. It's to me, it's just not even a story. This is not an etiquette class. It's a game. It's a competition. The same decorum should not be expected in both places. Again, there's a line, and at times people get there. Draymond Green, we'll talk about that. Last night, no, not a story. Not even close. But it's easier to create controversy when we throw all that into a pot and brew something up that's not there. So that becomes one of the leading stories. It won't be in Baton Rouge. In Baton Rouge, it'll be about this group of girls who, I do oftentimes kind of push back on that they told me I couldn't do it. I had all these haters, all these doubters. Like Devontae Smith gets up there at his Heisman speech and talks about all these doubters. Devontae, you were a 4-star recruit, top 10 in the country, offered by everybody I've ever seen. You go to the best college football program in the country. You were a preseason All-SEC player, on all these draft boards as a first round and you won the Heisman Trophy, who again are all these people telling you you're not any good? I pushed back on everyone told us we couldn't do it. But this LSU team, a lot of people saying didn't necessarily deserve where they were in the polls because of their competition. The seeding seemed a little light to me. I'm not going to pretend I dive into a lot of women's basketball net back in February. That's not necessarily what we talk about a ton here. But I understand how the sport works, and if you play in the Southeastern Conference and you lost one regular season game to the best team in the country and one more in the tournament, it seems like you have a chance to be one of the best 8 teams. So, okay, you can play that card a little bit, but they were a heck of a team. They put together a heck of a run, and they put together a nearly flawless 2 hours last night that was a treat to watch. Tigers are the national champions. They'll have a parade coming up on Wednesday in the evening time. We'll get some information from that on Matt Moscona's show coming up a little bit later. When we come back, LSU baseball, big SEC series weekend for them. They get the win. What is my biggest takeaway? Got some concerns. We'll get to those next on the Hunt Palmer Show.
This is Hunt Palmer. In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
For over a century, local broadcasting has evolved with the needs of the community. We move past the stigmas of opinion journalism and bring the most relevant news online, on air, and on the go. You have trusted us with your news, sports, weather, and entertainment. Trust us to keep moving with you. Text TD to 52886 and tell Congress local broadcasting is here to stay.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
The world's leaders in obesity research, obesity medicine, and obesity science are right here.
We're doing something that no one's ever done or trying to answer a question that no one's ever asked before.
Pennington is a real jewel when it comes to research.
We are finding the solutions to the world's worst chronic disease, which is obesity. Louisiana needs Pennington Biomedical.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
All right, let's say ah.
Where'd my spotlight go?
Super weird, but we can take care of it.
Get in and get better at Patient Plus.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all of that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's that time again. It's heating up. Your boat's getting ready to come out and spend all summer on the water. It's time to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service, where if you want an incredible custom speaker install, it's going to blow people away in the water, that's there for you. You want an HD sonar where you can see the fish under the water before you cast, beat all your friends, that's there for you at front-to-back boat service.
Jimmy on Charles Hannegriff for the Monday edition of Game Time. We're live at Walk-Ons in Brewley. Get you ready for the NCAA Basketball Championship. Monday, live from the Walk-Ons in Brewley. Game Time on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Tigers get 2 out of 3 against Tennessee. Of course, we were with you on Friday after Thursday's big win for LSU. Paul Skeens was great in that one, and Tigers did enough with 3 in the 8s from Jordan Thompson to win it 5-2. Came back on Friday night with Chase Burns on the mound for Tennessee, and the Tigers offensively were very, very good against Burns as well. Ty Floyd gave up a couple early home runs, got him through 5 innings, and then the 2 freshmen, Chase Shores and Griffin Herring, were fantastic in relief in that game. And you come back on Saturday, and before you can get comfortable in your seat, Tennessee's up 10-0. So it was an uphill battle. LSU did battle. They got 1 in the second, 1 in the third, 4 in the fourth, and created some opportunities when the game was at 6-10 to get back into it, but couldn't quite do so. Thatcher Hurd did not record an out in that game. So here's the question as we sit here today with this LSU baseball team. Do you want to frame the conversation about this team in this season from April 3rd, where we're sitting right now, through the end of Southeastern Conference play? I can do that. Do you want to frame it into what this team looks like as a whole? Like, what is this team and where are their strengths, weaknesses, and is it a complete team? Because those are 2 totally different conversations. The reality is, if you want to talk about this team in SEC play, I got no real worries. You've got an ace at the top of your rotation who's going to be a nightmare for everybody to deal with, and you've got an offense that, as the weekend goes on, is going to hurt people. It's deep. It's talented. It's powerful. It's patient. This team in SEC play is going to plow through this league. They're going to win 20 league games, 21 league games. They're going to be a top 8 national seed. The road to Omaha is going to go through the box. And we can talk about that, and we will. And that's one way you can look at this. They're good enough at the ace spot. They've got capable arms throughout the pitching staff, and the offense is great. This is the best starting pitching staff in the country that LSU saw this week, with Tennessee coming in. And LSU was really productive against all of them. Not a single Vols starter got into the 6th inning. Dolander's night was over in 4 2/3 on Thursday. He was lifted. He only punched out 3. That's the fewest strikeouts he's had in a start for Tennessee outside of last year. He faced Alabama and only threw 1 inning because he got hit with a line drive and had to come out of the game. But in starts where he didn't have to leave with an injury, that's the fewest strikeouts he's had as a Tennessee Vol. Chase Burns, 97, 98 mile-an-hour fastball, devastating slider. Gave up 7 hits and 5 earned runs in 3 1/3 innings. Jay Johnson loaded the team up with lefties. Morgan had a big double. Beloso had a big double. Brady Neal hit the big home run. Dugas followed that up. And then, even though the pitching staff didn't do the offense any favors on Saturday, Drew Beam, who's going to go in the first round next year, 10 hits and 6 runs. And only one of them was earned. But he pitched 4 innings. Those 3 starters, Dolander, Burns, and Beam, who are all going to be in the first round picks, you scored 13 runs in 12 innings against them. You will not see a better staff. Skeens, he's seen Tennessee. He's seen Arkansas. He's seen A&M on the road. Is there any indication he's not going to give you something awesome every time out? This team is way good enough in Southeastern Conference play. No question. And if that's the conversation you want to have, I'm happy to have that conversation. It's fun. But it's not a complete team right now because there's a massive hole in the starting rotation. And that's the other side of this conversation. It was so disappointing on Saturday. And I said this 3 weeks ago when it was great. 4 weeks ago when things were going great. When Thatcher Hurd absolutely dominated Samford and Butler, I said, I think he's found it. I think he's found the velocity. He's found the command. He's throwing strikes. He's missing bats with the breaking ball. This looks like he's got it figured out, and that could be the key. That could be the key piece. And now you look up, and he's been knocked all over the place in 3 SEC starts. That or can't throw it over the plate. And that's tough to swallow because I had such high hopes and maybe just a little bit ambitious with a player that's coming off such a serious injury that caused him to miss that much time and was ramped up very, very slow in the fall. And you look at through 3 SEC weekends, Thatcher Hurd has recorded 16 outs in 3 starts, and he's allowed 20 base runners. Team's on-base percentage is over 500 against him. It's just hard to make a living in the SEC falling behind every hitter. He faced 6 hitters on Saturday. 4 of the 6 he started with ball 1. And of the 2 hitters he started with strike 1, one of those was an RBI single. The first pitch of the at-bat. Not missing barrels, not getting ahead of guys. And it's got to be tough mentally. Because if you're Thatcher Hurd, your entire week, everything you do baseball-wise over an entire week is geared towards Saturday when you get the ball. It's bullpens, it's weightlifting, it's conditioning, it's film work. Everything you do is geared up to Saturday. And you're expecting that to last 2 hours over 6-7 innings. And you're done in 15 minutes. Didn't get an out. And so we'll talk about that third slot in the rotation in the next segment to close out hour 1. But I do also want to talk about Ty Floyd, who's been okay. He's been okay. He gave up 3 home runs on Friday, and not every home run is built equally. The leadoff home run to Maui Ahuna, it's 3-2. Floyd throws a good, firm fastball, really probably below the knees. It might have been a ball. And Ahuna knocks it over the center field wall. That's a good hitter. I don't want you to have 3 balls, but it wasn't as if he made some massive mistake pitch. Now, the other 2 home runs he gave up, one was a cement mixer slider that sat and spun in the middle of the plate and got pulled out to left, and the other one was a middle fastball right down the chute, 3-2, that got knocked out of the yard because good hitters are going to do that. But, Ty did get through 5 innings. He did strike out 5. He only walked 1. He was okay. And he was good for the last 5 innings last week against Arkansas. Against A&M, not so good. So he's been okay. And I think Ty Floyd has acquitted himself just fine and should be given the opportunity moving forward to pitch in that second slot. But does it look like what I thought it might back in January? When I'm looking at this pitching staff and I see Paul Skeens and Ty Floyd and Thatcher Hurd, and I see Grant Taylor and Christian Little and Chase Shores, and I'm looking at all these guys and I'm thinking, I got like 7 or 8 options here. I just need 3 to click. And right now, if I'm talking about above average SEC production in the starting rotation, I got 1. He's the best. He's the best one. But I got 1. Floyd's been average, and Hurd on Sundays has been well below that. And that gives me pause going into postseason play. Because if I lose a game in a regional and Skeens is burned, okay, I thought I was going to have like 4 options here. I'm struggling. Heaven forbid Skeens gets beat in a super. You got a Hagen Smith and Hunter Holland type deal from last Friday? Last Thursday. And you don't score. Just the one run on the Neil Homer. Skeens outing's wasted. Well, I thought I was going to have like two other guys waiting in the wings that were going to be ready to go, that were going to be above average to elite level SEC pitching. And right now I'm sitting here looking, it's not there. It's concerning to me. So it's just a different conversation. If this is Auburn or Georgia or even this South Carolina team, you'd be looking at this, and here's your conversation as a beat writer or as a talk radio guy or even as a fan. You'd go, well, we played Texas A&M on the road. That's always a tough one. And we play Arkansas, who's a top 10 team, at home. And then we played Tennessee, who's top 5 team maybe, when the dust settles. We've won all 3 series. This is a great team. This is awesome. And that wouldn't be the wrong discussion. That's actually what has happened. But around here, with the expectation level on this team, if you're going to ask me to analyze this thing critically and talk about relevant points, and I'm going to look at this and go, it's really good over 30 games. What about over 3? Over 30 games, the depth of the offensive lineup, Skeens being out there 10 times, you're gonna be fine. What about 3? And there's nothing you can do to protect yourself against 3. Tennessee couldn't do it last year. Arkansas couldn't do it 2 years ago. The David Price Vanderbilt team that went 26-3 in the league in 2013 couldn't protect themselves against 3 games. It's not possible to do. You can feel better about it. And I personally am looking at this going, it's a little bit intimidating to see where LSU's starting pitching is right now. Is it fixable? I'll talk about it next to close out hour 1.
Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
LWCC is Louisiana Loyal, elevating and celebrating champions of Louisiana. We've been doing this for over half a year now, thanks to LWCC and the platform that they've allowed us to give to talk about their champions. Go to lwcc.com/champions and check out some of the great champions of Louisiana that we've had the opportunity to tell you about over the last 8 months. Mimosa Handcrafted and Metamore Institute, Young Entrepreneurs Academy, Four Sisters Rice. Talked to you about Fresh Junkie Racing, Molly Kimball. It's been a ton of fun. Simone Malaz, Trey Godfrey, Galen Iverstein. We've told you about them all, and we want to continue to do that. So go to lwcc.com/champions, lwcc.com/champions, and nominate a person, a nonprofit, a business that's doing great philanthropic work here in our great state so that we can tell their story every day here on the Hunt Palmer Show. In March, it was Trey Godfrey. He's certainly a champion of Louisiana. We want to tell more of their stories. Go to lwcc.com/champions to nominate a champion of Louisiana. LWCC is Louisiana Loyal.
Our listeners fire up their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $10,000 off new 2022 Jeep Gladiators and $8,000 off new 23 Jeep Grand Cherokees. All new Bayou automotive vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou is going to do right by you.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
For over a century, local broadcasting has evolved with the needs of the community. We move past the stigmas of opinion journalism and bring the most relevant news online, on air, and on the go. You have trusted us with your news, sports, weather, and entertainment. Trust us to keep moving with you. Text TD to 52886 and tell Congress local broadcasting is here to stay.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walk.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust poll of the day. Vote daily inside off the bench, anytime. Hunt Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the poll of the day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
The best kept secret.
On Tuesday's OTB, we continue to celebrate the incredible national championship. Plus, do a deep dive as LSU baseball prepares for another massive week on Off the Bench, 7 to 10 a.m., 1045 ESPN.
This is Hunt Palmer on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Closing up hour number 1 here on a Monday. Hope your work week is off to a good start. Kind of teased entering this segment. Okay, you're looking at a weekend rotation that's got a significant issue there in the third spot. And how do you fix it? Is it fixable? LSU has some options still. They have not explored every option that they can. And the good news is, in my opinion, I don't know if Jay feels this way, because I know how coaches are wired, and they're on to the next game and the next game and the next game, and it's less to say you need victory to be secured. I'm comfortable with Skeens winning games on Fridays and game ones, and the lineup doing enough damage to keep this team more than afloat on a championship-level trajectory as you kind of sift through the pitching staff in game threes and in the midweeks. Thatcher Hurd's still an option. He's got the ability to be a really good college starter. That has not changed. He's not pitching well enough right now. And I would not have him pitch in game 3 this weekend. I would start him tomorrow. And I would say, Thatcher, you're going out there tomorrow to get 3 outs. The first inning. That's it. I want all your focus, all your energy on Nicholls State for 3 outs. And just try to get some confidence in him. That's a deflating thing for someone to have had as much success as he has had in his baseball career, even at UCLA, to deal with this last month. That's tough. Confidence helps, and I would try to get him some of that. Here are your other options in terms of guys who can be stretched out. And it's not too late to do that. At this point in the season, Ole Miss did not have Dylan DeLucia or Hunter Elliott in its weekend rotation at this point in the season last year. They became their horses down the stretch. I'm not trying to get exactly that, but that direction is where I'm trying to head. Christian Little can be explored as a 5-6 inning guy. Chase Shores can be explored again as a 5-6 inning guy. And Griffin Herring can be explored again as a 5-6 inning guy. I loved what I saw from Griffin Herring on Friday night. The fastball with the adrenaline was up to 94. He was throwing a breaking ball for strikes. He had some moxie to him. He didn't let the fact that he should have ended the game on a strikeout and Brady Neal threw a lollipop to first base that Trey Morgan dropped derail him mentally in a huge spot against one of the best teams in the country. He just came back and struck the next guy out. They've said since he got here that Herring was going to be a weekend starter at LSU at some point. Maybe it's now. If that starts with 3 innings against Nichols and then 3 more against South Carolina on Saturday, that's game 3 this week, that's fine with me. You've got time to let a starting pitcher go 3 innings one week, then 4 innings the next week, then 6 innings the next week. We got plenty of time to try to find a third starter that's not going out there to give me 2 innings. Because that's where you start to get in trouble in regionals when you can't eat any innings up. I would love to have Lang, Poche, and Walker, who were good for 20 innings a weekend. They don't have that right now. I'm trying to find some help along the way, and you got to find some people to stretch out. And it may cost you a game here or there. But you've got time, and I think you've got the offense and the ace to help keep you afloat while you look. Those would be, I think, the 3 most realistic options. I don't think Garrett Edwards is a super realistic option right now. Maybe so, but I think he's a bullpen guy. I think he's a closer. I think he's a high leverage. First time in the weekend, things get dicey, and we need to nail it down. Edwards is the guy. I'm looking elsewhere for guys to help. I think Christian Little wants to be a starter. Does he get that opportunity? We'll see. Chase Shores is going to be a starter on the weekend at some point. Griffin Herring's going to be a starter at some point. I would move it. I would let Thatcher Hurd work some things out in the midweek, maybe 2-3 weeks in a row. And if that results in him pitching 6 innings on a midweek game, I'm fine with that. You want to go to New Orleans, play Tulane, who's not very good, and see if Thatcher Hurd can go 6 innings in that game? That's fine. You've got time to tinker with this and get it to where guys are stretched out, because it's just difficult to go into 1, a regional, or 2, Omaha, especially if you get in the loser's bracket, and try to do it with 1 starter and Floyd, who may give you 5 innings, 3 runs. You need somebody else to eat innings. These tournaments are collections of innings. I'm not as worried about the one in Hoover, but the one in Baton Rouge for a regional and the one in Omaha that's a tournament, I need some guys that can eat some more outs than 5 or 6. I need somebody that can get me 20 outs. They got to continue to look for that. Fun, fast hour here on a Monday. We opened things up with 30 straight minutes on the Lady Tigers, the 2023 national champions of women's college basketball. They were welcomed home to a nice crowd over at the PMAC, and they'll have a parade coming up on Wednesday night, so make some plans. Get out there to see them for that. Last 30 minutes were on LSU baseball. Kind of gave my thoughts on where things stand right now. They're in a good spot in terms of wins and losses. They got some answers to figure out on the pitching side. If you missed any of the first hour, catch it on demand at all the places where I always tell you our stuff is available on demand. We come back after SportsCenter. Men's national title in basketball is tonight, and some SEC baseball weekend thoughts. That's next on the Hunt Palmer Show.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
For over a century, local broadcasting has evolved with the needs of the community. We move past the stigmas of opinion journalism and bring the most relevant news online, on air, and on the go. You have trusted us with your news, sports, weather, and entertainment. Trust us to keep moving with you. Text TD to 52886 and tell Congress local broadcasting is here to stay.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call Hudco Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
All right, let's say ah.
Where'd my spotlight go?
Super weird, but we can take care of it.
Get in and get better at Patient Plus.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all of that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. Developing story, forward Andrew Wiggins, who played a big part of Golden State's championship run last season, is expected to return to the Warriors early this week, reports ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski. He's missed 22 games attending to a family matter. The Lakers peaking at the right time, 10 wins the last 14 games, within a half game of 6th in the West with 4 regular season games remaining. LeBron James says they want to put themselves in position to be able to compete for an NBA championship, and he likes what they've been building. Anthony Davis has played a major role in that, notes ESPN NBA writer Zach Lowe.
Anthony Davis has been 37 or more points in 4 of his last 5 games. Looks completely dominant off the dribble, spotting up, posting up, running the floor. Every ingredient of his game is humming at the right time.
A champion will be crowned tonight in Houston. Connecticut and San Diego State meet up in the men's national title game. The Huskies, vying for their 5th national championship since 1999, have won their 5 NCAA tournament games this year by double digits.
When you're trying to hire and fill open jobs, the searching, screening, and interviewing can become its own job. You need Indeed, their powerful hiring platform that makes it easy to attract, interview, and hire quality people. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
Now, Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Holding down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. This is Hunt Palmer.
Hour 2 on this Monday. 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Hunt Palmer coming to you from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio. Lots and lots to get to here over the next hour. I'll tell you what happened in the Southeastern Conference on the baseball diamond over the weekend. We're going to start with the men's championship game, which will conclude college basketball for the year tonight over in NRG Stadium in Houston. It'll be Connecticut and San Diego State to decide a title. The line is 7. UConn is favored. And I continue to kind of pour through stats, kind of look at the video. I've watched these teams now play a couple times in the tournament, and I'll give you my pick here at the end, but I'm going to sift through some of the storylines that I've dug up here between these two teams. San Diego State is doing this with defense. They're a great defensive team. They're an okay offensive team. They're a great defensive team. They're giving up only 60 points per game in the tournament. They're holding teams to 35% from the floor and 22% from the three-point line. Their teams just aren't scoring. They held Brandon Miller to 3 of 19 from the floor in his final game as an Alabama player. They held Bama as a whole to 64. Florida Atlantic in the second half, they built a lead in the first half. In the second half, a good offensive team at FAU, 8 of 24 from the floor. Just kind of stifled them. But even with that great defense, it's still a little bit of a struggle offensively for them at times. And they've played some really close games because of that. In fact, they're the first team ever, San Diego State, to win an Elite 8 game and a Final 4 game each by 1 point. No one's ever done that before. But San Diego State did. Hit the buzzer beater on Saturday. Here they are. UConn has been nothing like that whatsoever. They're not winning against anybody by 1 point. 6 teams since 2000 have won every game in the NCAA tournament leading up to the title game by double figures. It's only happened 6 times since 2000. Only once, 2016 North Carolina, did that team not win the title game, and we know that that was the Jenkins buzzer beater from Villanova. So this will be the 7th team that's won them all by double figures. Only one has not won the whole thing. The trouble for San Diego State in this game, well, there's a lot of trouble for San Diego State in this game, but I've told you they struggle at times on offense. Well, UConn's great on defense. They haven't allowed anyone to score 70 points since February 25th. They've held everyone in the 60s or lower since the end of February. Miami, who's been such a potent offensive team with all that ability on the perimeter to put the ball on the floor, they went 8 of 23 on layups against Connecticut. It's hard to score on these guys, and San Diego State makes it hard to score anyway sometimes. San Diego State's best defensive effort has been this year on the perimeter. They're really good at slowing guys down. Get a lot of Hawkins tonight, but they're good on the perimeter. That doesn't account for what the 2 centers from UConn can do, specifically Sanogo. I just think there's going to be a real struggle for them to deal with him around the rim. And they'll probably have to compromise some of their man-to-man integrity and collapse on him a little bit because he's such a potent scorer around the bucket. Now, this doesn't necessarily have anything to do with tonight's game, but I just found it to be interesting that UConn has been impressive in title games. This is their 5th one. They're 4-0. It's kind of Bertman-esque. You get to the end, you know what the result's going to be. Skip was incredible in title games. So we'll see if San Diego State can play the defense they've been accustomed to playing, can score some points against a good UConn defense, keep it close, and then win the close one. And that's what we all want to see. We want to see a close, tight game late. I'm a little worried, and I've got a little bit of scar tissue, quite frankly, from what I said leading up to TCU in Georgia in January. I said, look, TCU, they got the quarterback. That's what it takes to beat Georgia. You saw Stroud kind of throw it around a little bit. TCU's kind of punched above its weight all year. I think they've got a chance, I think. And then it just was men against boys. And look, Butler hung in against Duke, and they turned it into a rock fight, and they almost won that game. Same thing with UConn. So I'm not going to completely disparage mid-majors, but I do have the scar tissue from going, man, what a cool story this is. This is going to be great to watch, and then it really wasn't. And after the first weekend of the tournament, I said on here, look, I love those first 4 days, but now we got the big boys, and it's time to see some big boy basketball. Well, UConn got to look at the big boy in Gonzaga and beat them by 30. I just don't have a lot of confidence that San Diego State is going to be able to punch back against a UConn team that's just playing better than everybody. So I'm hopeful. This is one of my favorite weeks of the year. You got the Final Four. It leads right into the Masters. Plus, I've got, you got Easter there. You got LSU baseball. Great for sports watching and camaraderie and being with the family. And all. I just think San Diego State's going to get boat raced today. I think they're going to struggle to score. They're going to go into some prolonged droughts, and this UConn offense doesn't appear to me to be one that's going to slow down anytime soon. There's too many options, too much ability, and they're playing too well with too much confidence. I would love to be wrong. If you made me pick who I want to win, I'd probably pick San Diego State just for the story because they would deserve it. But I just don't see it. The one thing that gives me hope is that San Diego State stood right up to Bama and knocked them on their butt. That's the one game I go back to and I go, okay. Because quite frankly, does beating Florida Atlantic give me a ton of confidence that makes it San Diego State for real? It doesn't. I think Florida State Atlantic had a great year. I think they're a really good team. But I would put more stock into the fact that San Diego State really punked Alabama, who I watched all year. They weren't playing as good at the end as they were in February and January, but they're good, and they got pros. And San Diego State said, okay, we'll punch back and beat them. So I just, the scar tissue is too deep from TCU getting run off the floor. Run off the field, I guess it was. So I'm going to take San Diego State I'm going to take UConn tonight. I'll lay the 7 with ease. I'm curious to see what Jimmy will say on his show later tonight. But I cannot get on board with taking San Diego State against a team that's playing that well. And it's such a great story for UConn, who was really good early, and then the wheels fell off, and then they found it late, which, again, if you've heard me talk for the last couple of years, is why I love these sports so much. It's because you're never out of it after a bad 3 weeks. You're not. You just got to come back and figure it out. And UConn's certainly done that. So they'll do battle tonight. Tip time at 8:20 on CBS tonight from Houston. Will be Jim Nance in the call for, I believe, his Final Four. And then he'll head over to Augusta for another Masters. So Jim Nance week in full effect here in the spring. UConn and San Diego State tonight, 8:20 on CBS from Houston. We'll come back. I'll get you caught up on SEC baseball over the weekend, and then we'll get to some. What are we doing at 2:30? Yeah, we'll get to some more coming up here on the Hunt Palmer Show.
Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Final game of the tournament is here. There's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. And that's because right now, FanDuel is giving new customers a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. It's up to $1,000 back in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. Just go to FanDuel.com/1045ESPN and sign up today to claim your no-sweat first bet. Then you can wager on everything from the money line to point spreads to which team will be cutting down the net. It's all on an app that's safe, secure, and super easy to use. So don't miss your shot at a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000 when you join FanDuel today. Just go to FanDuel.com/1045ESPN to sign up. Make every moment more with FanDuel. Must be 21 and present in Louisiana. First online real money wager only. $10 deposit required. Refund issues and non-withdrawable bonus bet that expires in 14 days. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. If you're assuming has a gambling problem, wants help, call 1-877-770-STOP.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
For over a century, local broadcasting has evolved with the needs of the community. We move past the stigmas of opinion journalism and bring the most relevant news online, on air, and on the go. You have trusted us with your news, sports, weather, and entertainment. Trust us to keep moving with you. Text TV to 52886 and tell Congress local broadcasting is here to stay.
The world's leaders in obesity research, obesity medicine, and obesity science are right here.
We're doing something that no one's ever done, or trying to answer a question that no one's ever asked before.
Pennington is a real jewel when it comes to research.
We are finding the solutions to the world's worst chronic disease, which is obesity. Louisiana needs Pennington Biomedical.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
All right, let's say ah.
Where'd my spotlight go?
Super weird, but we can take care of it.
Get in and get better at Patient Plus.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage.
Charles Hannegriff, join us for the Tuesday edition of Hanny Time. More in the celebration following LSU's women's basketball team winning the national title. LSU baseball in action against Nichols, and Dwayne Colucci from Las Vegas. Hanny Time, noon weekdays, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
All right, SEC baseball over the weekend. Some things starting to take shape a little bit early. Now, I've got some reservations with a few things that are going on in the SEC, but you're starting to kind of figure out who teams are, where their strengths are, where their weaknesses are, and the math is starting to kind of get difficult for some of the teams that have been bad through 3 weeks. So Vanderbilt swept Georgia. They moved to 9-0 in conference play. I believe in Vanderbilt. I think they're very good. I think that it was impressive that they knocked Ole Miss all over the yard and dominated them in that weekend. And I think that they've been impressive since some bumpy non-conference games against really good teams. UCLA comes in here. That's not exactly the same as LSU playing Samford. It's a little bit more difficult. Vandy looks to be for real. They can pitch it like crazy, and now they're starting to hit a little bit. So I'm in on Vanderbilt, and I think Georgia is terrible. I think they don't pitch it very well. I think they don't hit it very well. I think that's a bad baseball team. The series of the weekend that I was looking at to kind of get a barometer as to where things were went the way that I thought it would go, and that was Texas A&M getting 2 out of 3 from Ole Miss. Ole Miss finally got a good start from Jack Doherty, who got through 6 innings and pitched it well in game 1, but the bullpen kind of unraveled a little bit, and they were unable to hold it down. Got a ball run out of the yard on them, and they lose game 1. Game 2, Ole Miss's offense takes over. A&M is not pitched it very well, and Ole Miss can hit, and they did hit in game 2, and they win. And then in game 3, Ole Miss has a lead. They give it up, and then A&M hits a walk-off home run in the 9th inning to win the series. It was very evenly played against 2 teams that I think have some talent, but they've got some flaws. A&M struggling in the rotation. Ole Miss's rotation is not good. And now you look up, and Ole Miss is 1-8. And you've got really tough series in the rearview mirror. You played Vanderbilt and Florida right out of the chute, and then you went to College Station. That's tough, but you still got to play Arkansas this week, and you still got to play LSU. And so the numbers start to get difficult if you're Ole Miss trying to make the NCAA tournament. They went on a heck of a run last year. We know it. But they've got their work cut out for them. A&M has 2 wins now. We'll see how that goes. Arkansas got 2 of 3 from Bama. Look, I think the Hogs are a pretty good team. I think they need to get a little healthier, and that'll go a long way. I just don't think Bama is good at all at this point. I know that some people bought them early, but I look at this Alabama team. I see Hitt and Hess at the top of the rotation who have good stuff, but I don't put them in the category with LSU, Tennessee, Florida, and Vanderbilt. That, to me, those are the top 4 teams in the league. I think Arkansas is a step down. I think A&M's a step down. Those are the top 4 teams in the league to me. And I would not put Arkansas in that category just yet. Now, you notice I didn't mention Kentucky or South Carolina in that breath, and they are both 8-1. I'll learn a little bit more about South Carolina this week, okay? LSU goes to Columbia. They're going to pack that place. It's going to be a really good environment, and everything that we've heard says that this is a South Carolina team that's got the talent to stick around, be a host, potentially a top 8 seed. But I'm not going to give you a lot of credit for going to Starkville and getting 2 out of 3 because I think State's terrible. And you swept Missouri at home. Good for you. You swept Georgia on the road. They stink. So I'm not quite there with South Carolina just yet. We'll learn about them when LSU goes to Columbia. And Kentucky, I don't think, is very good. I think it's a scrappy offense. Does a scrappy offense strike me as scary? It does not. I think their pitching's fine. They're not going to hit you with a bunch of doubles. They're not going to hit you with a bunch of homers. It just seems like if you throw an ace at them, high-level pitching at them, it could be a bit of an issue. And I think that will bear itself out here as we move forward with Kentucky. They've got that just pillow soft start to their schedule with 1 more week left in it with Georgia. And they may sweep Georgia because Georgia's not good. But then we'll see what they're made of when they got at LSU, home A&M, at Vanderbilt, South Carolina, at Tennessee, Florida. That's where the rubber meets the road for Kentucky. Sorry. Beating Mississippi State, Bama, and Missouri is not going to make me flip some sort of switch and say, oh, Kentucky, you're 8-1. They must be a really good team this year. Because they pop a team every once in a while that's pretty good. The A.J. Reed team was good. They were a national seed. Went to Gary, Indiana one time. They've had some good players and some pretty good teams. Most of them were built offensively. This one is not. But I'm just not there. And quite frankly, just call me a curmudgeon. Call me a grudge holder. I don't love Nick Mingione because of the stuff that he pulled when he was the third base coach over at Mississippi State. That's 10 years old now. I should probably get over it, but it is what it is, and I'm not. So I just don't think Kentucky is great, even though they're 8-1. And then with Florida, they get 2 out of 3 from Auburn. Auburn's pitching is imploding in a big way. Listen to what Auburn is doing on the mound. In their last 4 SEC games, these are the run totals for 3 of them. 3 of the last 4. 17, 12, and 24. Not great. Butch is a really good pitching coach. He's always done a good job with arms, sometimes doing more with less. And this is just not an Auburn pitching staff that's very talented, and he's not kind of found the secret sauce to find a way to get them through games. And because of that, you look up and Auburn's 3-6 and is really struggling to pitch the baseball. And they're young on offense, so that's not a great recipe. You look at the standings right now, and with LSU at 6-3, tied atop the West with Arkansas at 6-3, and I think the Hogs are good. Then everybody else is 3-6 or worse. Alabama's 3-6, Auburn's 3-6, A&M's 3-6, and the two Mississippis are both 1-8. You look at the East, and it looks real top-heavy. Vandy 9-0, believe it. South Carolina 8-1, maybe. I'm on the fence there. Beat LSU 2 out of 3. I'll give you props for that. Beat Paul Skeens. Not hit 3 home runs off Skeens. Then I'll believe everything that you've got about the power statistics. Kentucky's 8-1, Florida's 7-2, legit. Tennessee's 4-5, probably a top 5 team in the country. Dead serious. Somehow, some way, they went to Columbia, Missouri, and got swept, and since then, Missouri's lost 6 straight league games. You tell me how it happens. What a sport. Missouri sweeps Tennessee, can't win a game for 2 weeks. And then Georgia's 1-8 and awful. But that continues to bring to the forefront here what LSU has in front of it. And all that stuff I was talking about with continuing to tinker and play around with some different pitching combinations to figure out how you can put yourself in position to get this thing righted for June. Because the tough stuff is in the rearview mirror. You got South Carolina on the road this weekend, which is a difficult series, but I'm not ready to say it's what it would be if you were going to Gainesville or Nashville. That's just me right now. Then you got Kentucky coming here. I'm just not worried about that. You go to Ole Miss. That one is more concerning to me than Kentucky at home by a lot, because that's going to be a pretty desperate team in Ole Miss. Maybe Hunter Elliott comes back and gives them a shot of life around that weekend. But they're going to have to start winning some baseball games there, and you show up. We'll see. And then LSU's finish, as you know at this point, if you're paying attention, LSU's last 4 SEC weekends are Bama, who I don't think is very good, at Auburn, who I don't think is good, home against Mississippi State, who is not good, and at Georgia, who is not good. That is 12 games. So if you just look at the way this thing shakes out, and if you're Jay Johnson, which I'm certainly not, and he knows a lot more about this and what's going on over there than I do, I just feel like even if you lose a game or two to South Carolina, even if it costs you a game at home against Kentucky, trying to see what some of these guys can do in a starting role, including Thatcher Hurd, if that's what you want to do, it's okay with me to put yourself in bad position in a game because you threw Griffin Herring out there in an SEC start, and guess what? He gave up 6 runs in 2 1/3, and you lost it. That's okay. That's okay with me. Trying to figure it out is paramount because, as I said in the first hour, with this ace and this lineup, you're going to be in position to win most weekends, and you're going to be in position when Selection Monday comes around to be a top 8. I do believe that. I think they have been that type of team to this point. And you're going to win enough games against Bama, Auburn, Mississippi State, and Georgia to justify that. The key is finding somebody somewhere that gives you a potential for a 6-inning, really quality start where you only allow 1 run and strike out 7 and rest the bullpen. You got to break. The SEC didn't give you Florida, didn't give you Vandy, and now that you've played A&M and played Arkansas and played Tennessee, and you're sitting here at 6-3, you're in a really good spot. Just got to figure out a way to get it home with a starting pitcher. So LSU will play tomorrow against Nichols at 6:30. I'm curious to see who starts in that game. That'll be something, obviously, that we talk about on tomorrow's show. Whether they go to Hurd here, whether they go to Little, whether they go to Shores. We'll see. but they've got to get themselves right. And then it's another Thursday, Friday, Saturday. This week, everybody in the league is Thursday, Friday, Saturday because of the Easter holiday. So LSU's first game against South Carolina, 6 o'clock Central Time at Columbia. It'll be a 7 o'clock tip-off out there at Carolina Ballpark. So looking forward to that. LSU's just got some questions to answer. If you are looking to get some more detail on that, some more depth of that, I talked about it at the end of hour number 1. You can catch it on demand, 1045ESPN.com's on-demand tab, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, anywhere that you get your on-demand podcasts, you can find our stuff. Just search Hunt Palmer Show and subscribe, like, rate, review. We always appreciate all of that. Take a time out. Come back with more. It's the Hunt Palmer Show, 1045
Hunt
ESPN.
Palmer on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Fired up to tell you about Rally Cap. We had so much fun out at Rally Cap on Thursday for opening day. We were out there at the brewery, just hanging out, drinking some of their beers, watching baseball. It's an awesome place to go watch some baseball. It's born right here in Baton Rouge. Rally Cap Brewing, just off of Seagan, and they got 14 beers on tap. They got 8 TVs all over the place. My personal favorite right here on the set is First Pitch. You can find this out at the box. You can't miss the can. It's this teal-colored can. It was the one that started it all, First Pitch, and it's their pale ale. It's light. It is crisp. I really, really enjoy it. Y'all know my beer drinking preferences. First Pitch fits right in for me. If you're looking for a little more nuance in your beer, they got plenty of those over at Rally Cap. The Windy Peppercorn's right here on set as well. It's the Golden Milk Stout with the coffee and vanilla. They're in a pickle, I think, is great. The Ballpark Breakfast, Imperial Pastry Stouts, got maple syrup, cinnamon, vanilla, also fantastic. We want to invite y'all to head out to the tours of Rally Cap Brewery. They have them Wednesday through Friday at 5 o'clock every week. Get on by there. It's a lot of fun to go through, walk it with Kevin, which we did last week, and then see how everything's made over there at Rally Cap. They've also got tours on Saturday at 1. I want to remind you, you have to purchase tickets in advance, and at the end, it'll include a guided flight, which is a lot of fun. So, new partner here at the Hunt Palmer Show. Love telling you about Rally Cap. Head over to the website, rallycapbrewing.com.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hey, it's Matt Musso. Join me Monday through Friday for your daily update on LSU baseball with Musso at the Box, presented by New Orleans Flooring. Wherever you get your podcast, Apple, Spotify, Google, and check out New Orleans Flooring. 2 locations, Metairie and Prairieville, or NOLAFlooring.com.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further. Like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
For over a century, local broadcasting has evolved with the needs of the community. We move past the stigmas of opinion journalism and bring the most relevant news online, on air, and on the go. You have trusted us with your news, sports, weather, and entertainment. Trust us to keep moving with you. Text TD to 52886 and tell Congress local broadcasting is here to stay.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walk.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust poll of the day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, anytime. Hunt Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the poll of the day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
Jimmy on Charles Hannegriff for the Monday edition of Game Time. We're live at Walk-Ons in Bruley. Get you ready for the NCAA Basketball Championship. Monday, live from the Walk-Ons in Bruley. Game Time on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Let's head to scenic I-49, I'm imagining, where WBRZ's Michael Cobble is heading back from covering all the drama over in Dallas over the weekend. The Tigers win the national championship, the first in program history. Cobble joins us now on the Jim's Firearms Hotline. Mr. Cobble, how is I-49?
Oh, you just missed your chance at some Southern-made donuts. I'm passing the Southern Loop right now.
How about that? That's my parents' exit. Get right off. Head on over.
I figured this was about where you were. So if you need me to stop by Mom and Dad's and grab you something, let me know.
I will be there on Thursday night, so I don't have to worry about that. We got Easter weekend with the folks up in Shreveport. But yeah, just about 3 hours left for you, Mr. Cobble. All right. So look, you've covered some national championship teams across the sports here. Certainly some great Saints teams as well. What's the narrative going to be on this team as we remember them?
Wow, shock and awe, probably, right? How could they do it so quickly? I think you nailed it earlier in that the narrative for the team, as we see it as Louisianans, will be very different than the way it's perceived nationally. But I think for us, I think it's just going to be pure amazement that they were able to turn this thing around as quick as they did, piece it together the way they did. It's remarkable, and it's saddening that you don't have better adjectives to describe it, but it's just unheard of. I mean, I did not think this was possible. I mean, and I think that's where a lot of the girls' reaction on the team is coming from, because so many of us didn't think it was possible, and yet here they are.
I asked you, I remember this, you were in Greenville, and I said, can they win 2 games in Greenville in the Sweet 16 and Elite 8 if they shoot it the way they did in Baton Rouge in the first 2 rounds? And you said, I don't know about that. And they actually shot it worse in the Miami game. But how do you describe a team that shot it like that at those 2 places and then comes out and scores over 100 in the national final?
I mean, the scoring was just serendipitous. We'll talk about that. But it's been defense all postseason long. That has been what has gotten LSU going. They get their defense going. They actually play defense and get stops, and it gets their offense rolling. And I say it's serendipitous because there's no reason Jasmine Carson should have been in the game yesterday. You know, she's in the game because of the foul trouble that LSU was in, and she was really there to just give them a spell. You know, she's a defensive liability, but she was in the game. Poa was in the game. It was amazing because Corey Diaz was sitting next to me, and at one point in the game, all of the starters on the floor were the same people that were on the floor when LSU had fouled everyone out against Utah.
Yeah.
And then they closed out the game in the fourth quarter. And that's where they extended the lead, and it's remarkable that Poa comes in and knocks down a three. Samaya Smith has a big rebound and bucket, on the offensive end. And then Jasmine does what she has been capable of doing in the past, but we certainly hadn't seen in the postseason. She had 11 points in the postseason up until that second quarter. So, and then she had 21, for the game. So, it was just remarkable. And I think the thing that I'll appreciate most about this is the total team effort that it was to accomplish their goal. Angel was the face, Alexis was the motor, but then you had a lot of really strong wheels in Kateri Poole and LaDasia Williams. Those are the people that really helped turn the engine and get them to where they are.
Everyone played so well last night. You could point to each of them, and you talk about Jasmine going nuts in the first half, or Angel Reese kind of owning the offensive boards early and then coming on late, or the mid-range shots that LaDasia hits when there looked like a run was coming from Iowa. But to me, one of the things that maybe hasn't been talked about enough that I talked about in my first segment was the ability to close the game that Alexis Morris had really by herself. They said, all right, we're going to spread the floor, go a high ball screen, and you just go score. And she made every shot she took in the fourth quarter and did not allow Iowa. I mean, how easy would it be to miss 3 consecutive shots and have Iowa come down and score 9 points immediately? Because that's what they're programmed to do. I thought the way that she closed the game was excellent.
In her handles, to be able to get away from the foul that she knew was. Yeah, I thought she's really been the catalyst in the last 3 games. I think, when you look at her scoring performances, they've only gotten better since she left Baton Rouge in the NCAA tournament. And she is taking it very personal. She really has. You see a lot about, the conversation about the disrespect shown towards South Carolina. And, she had a lot to say about that. I think the writer of that article did her a disservice, and Alexis has tried to clean it up a little bit in subsequent post-game press conferences, saying that, she respects the game. She would find it disrespectful if somebody guarded her, and said that, they wouldn't be able to do that because they could knock down shots. Iowa said the same thing. They said we wouldn't be able to guard LSU like we did South Carolina, and they couldn't. And even, the way they were guarding, they couldn't. But Alexis said something, and we did it last night in our 10 o'clock news. Alexis said, once I know my mid-range is dropping, then it's just lights out. Forget about it, basically, is what she said. And Kim chuckled, and that's exactly what it was. She said, we were too close for me to let this thing slip away. I wasn't going to let my team lose. And that is her mentality, man. She is just going to finish it any way she can, even if that means she has to ball hog it and get those shots going down herself. She said, no disrespect to my teammates, but I wasn't letting this one slip away. So it was awesome to see her. And if you know her career arc, the redemption story that she is, it's remarkable. I thought this was something great she said. She said, I got dismissed in the 2018-2019 season from Baylor when they won the title. So I got that one back. And she thanked Kim Mulkey for bringing her back and giving her that opportunity. Just really, really cool, classy stuff from, a team that has a lot of pieces, right? But they had to put it all together to find a way to get that going.
That's a really cool story. I had not heard that quote, that she got that one back, and that's that's definitely the way that she would feel if she wasn't around for while her friends are winning that one. We know what LSU fans do in Omaha, Nebraska in the summer. That's a pretty trip that a lot of people make, and LSU's been fortunate to win national titles in the Superdome in football. What was the LSU contingent like in a state next door over in Dallas?
It was not as good as I expected it to be. I mean, it was packed with Iowa fans. I would say it was 65% Iowa fans to LSU fans last night. And I think the folks that follow women's basketball have been following women's basketball for a long time, and they're super invested in it. And I think you're going to see more eyeballs get on it now because of the exposure that they've gotten. Kim said it, LSU's an international brand, but they're doing a great job of promoting the game in ways that they never have before. And it's fun. A lot like the gymnastics meets at home are fun. LSU women's basketball is fun now. If you want to enjoy the game and you like the personalities, then there's a lot to offer for LSU. So I see this thing growing. I think it's great. You're seeing the ads right now to get women's basketball season tickets for $50, basically next year. I would suggest if you want to go to the game, you better jump on it now because those prices are going to go up now that they won a national title.
That was kind of my next question, and you kind of alluded to most of it there. But we've seen what gymnastics has created in there over the last decade, and with their excellence year in and year out, and what that is really from the start of their season generated over there. We know what the box can turn into. Do you anticipate that the PMAC is regularly going to be filled for women's games starting in November next year?
I think you might see what Tennessee had. I asked Kim yesterday how big can this get, and she answered, doesn't get much bigger than this, and it's true. They just won the national title, right? But I do see this thing growing, Mulkey-mania, just the whole thing. The team that they're going to put out there next year will be just as impressive, I think. I don't know that they'll do it again, right? There's a lot of things standing in their way, but they're going to have talent coming in. Like, they were able to do all this without a national title. Kim said it. We did this without a national title. We did this without an SEC title. So I really do feel like they are building the momentum needed to make this thing into a Lady Vols type situation where it might outdraw the men, and Lord knows there's going to be a lot of pressure on those other basketball coaches, or actually all the coaches on LSU's campus, not just Matt McMahon, but everyone else to succeed when Kim turns around a national title in 2 years. But, no, I think it can get huge. I think that there'll be a following now. There'll be some bandwagoners that come out and see it and support it. It's different basketball, but it doesn't mean it's not any less fun, right? Like, and it's different than what we knew women's basketball in Baton Rouge to be. I mean, it's just night and day from what Nikki was throwing out there on the court, and it doesn't even seem like the same game, right? And I think that's a credit to the girls on the court. I don't think we give the players enough credit because we love the personality that Kim is, but you have to give the girls on the court a ton of credit for what they were able to do, the way they played. But Deja Williams, I think, is going to be the piece that people aren't talking enough about, and the piece that will be most missed on next year's team. And just her consistency, silent consistency, I wouldn't be able to sing enough praises of.
Well, be safe heading down I-49, and you got a parade to cover on Wednesday, so get on back.
Yeah, Wednesday night, 6:30ish maybe. I'm driving, so I'm only picking up pieces here and there. But
yep, that's the plan, I believe. I haven't seen where, but I know that's the plan. I know you all will be out there on with Channel 2.
Oh, we'll have it covered for you, no doubt. Thanks, Don.
All right, Michael. See you. Michael Cobble from WBRZ closing things up here on a Monday edition when we come back on the Hunt Palmer Show.
Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
One Bath and Closets, onebathandclosets.com is the website. How much better would your living situation be if you had a brand new bathroom? David Duvall and his team have been doing that for 30 years. So they can help you out no matter how big or how small. They can handle your renovation. You want to do a full-scale renovation? They're licensed contractors. They can come in there and handle the whole thing for you. Or maybe it's something simple. Not as time-consuming, not as costly. It's a tub-to-shower conversion. You take that tub out that you never use. You don't take baths because you don't have a 1-year-old like me, but you want to have a gorgeous walk-in shower, they can do it. One Bath and Closets. And if you tell them the Hunt Palmer Show sent you and you have them come in to look at your closet and put in a new closet, they're not going to charge you for the labor to take out the closet or to put the new one in. They're just going to charge you for the cost of that unit. Check out the website. There's tons of pictures there of all the work they do. You can request that free consultation there, or you can see some of their awesome reviews. It's onebathandclosets.com.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
For over a century, local broadcasting has evolved with the needs of the community. We move past the stigmas of opinion journalism and bring the most relevant news online, on air, and on the go. You have trusted us with your news, sports, weather, and entertainment. Trust us to keep moving with you. Text TD to 52886 and tell Congress local broadcasting is here to stay.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walk.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, Call Hudco Roofing.
Give us a call 364-1007 and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
All right, let's say ah.
Where'd my spotlight go?
Super weird, but we can take care of it.
Get in and get better at Patient Plus.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage.
Coming up on Tuesday's OTB, we continue to celebrate the incredible national championship. Plus, do a deep dive as LSU baseball prepares for another massive week on Off the Bench, 7 to 10 a.m., 104.5 ESPN.
You're listening to Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
I really don't get it. I'm looking up at ESPN. They're having Angel Reese on SportsCenter. It looks like from her apartment. She's got all the gear on. And they're interviewing her, and all they're talking about is the hand gesture to Caitlin Clark. How about the double-double in the title game? How about your team scoring 100 points? How about your teammate coming off the bench and going 5 for 5 from 3? I guess that's just not as interesting a talking point to someone who has no tie to Iowa or LSU. It's more fun to look at the most high-profile two players on the court in a moment of 6 seconds that Caitlin Clark wasn't even looking for. I guess that's just more interesting. I just don't live in that world. It's not the way that I run my show. Maybe it's a mistake, but I'd just rather talk about the stuff that goes on the court as opposed to just a little bit of an ancillary thing that is such a nothing burger and was such a nothing burger to the person who was on the other side of it. Caitlin Clark's like, yeah, I don't really care. I don't get it. Whatever. And then I'm looking on the other TV in here, and I got Cam Smith doing his Masters press conference. It makes me so sad that a guy that good chose to go play fake golf on the CW or whatever they're on 8 times a year where no one even pays attention to what's going on. Sad. Very, very sad. All right, let's play some Take It or Leave It, Jacob Beck.
All right, starting off, the Braves announced today that they will retire Andrew Jones, number 25. Take it or leave it.
Gotta take it.
I'll take
star. Hall of Famer, star. Best defensive center fielder in the league for a few years there. A prolific home run hitter in his prime. He was a true two-way guy. I mean, I remember there was a poll when I was younger, and Andrew Jones was very much in his prime. It's like, who is as close to the natural as there is in current MLB baseball? And Junior was kind of on his way out there, so it wasn't necessarily Griffey anymore, even though he would have been that guy. But just in terms of hitting, running, playing defense, he was as good as they came for a long time, and as part of a young part of a huge Braves title. And one of the best players in the National League for a long time. So I'm all for that, certainly for Andrew Jones.
I totally agree. All right, moving on. One shining moment. Take it or leave it.
You got to take it. I saw some national sports writers today that were saying the song's hokey. Come on, man. Just let them play one shining moment for 3 minutes after the thing ends. One guy jumped in and said it is cool when they play it on the Jumbotron when the team's already won and they're standing there with the confetti everywhere to kind of watch that. But, like, I like it. It's just a nice, sentimental thing that goes over the last 3 weeks where it's been an incredible tournament full of some Cinderella runs. You had some buzzer beaters. It's been a great tournament, and I think that one shining moment is a cool tradition. I know that the words could be conceived as a little bit hokey, but it's great. I love it. You're going to have the same shots that are going to go in. The ball is tipped. You're going to see the tip-off, running for your life. You're going to see somebody on a fast break. You're a shooting star. You're going to see somebody draining a three. I know what's coming, but it's still good, and it's even better when your team like kind of makes a little bit of a run and you can relive some of that. I remember there was Tasman pointing to his chest when LSU in 06, and you had Tyrus going crazy running down the floor after he had that dunk. One shining moment is awesome. If you don't like it, you're a curmudgeon. Just allow it. It's a good tradition at the end. I'll be locked in.
All right, the Pels are going to avoid the play-in. Take it or leave it.
Whew. They're coming home, and they can do it on their home floor. Why not? I'll take it. Why not say I'll take it? I know that it's going to be difficult. I'm hoping they found a little bit more of a consistent play. They did have a successful road trip. I know there were some players missing on the other teams. It's just part of the NBA this time, anytime in the calendar other than the playoffs. So it's going to be difficult. They do have to jump 2 more teams. You got some half games there. It's going to be tough, but I will trust the Pels to get it done. Why not trust the Pels to get it done? We're going to talk about the Pels with Sharif Ishak of WDSU tomorrow. Kind of get his thoughts on as the Pels are back on the floor tomorrow. Hopefully the blender is on fire for the next couple of days, because this is the time of year where you got to have it if you're the Pels. You're fighting for your life. It really is the playoffs. I've heard Mario say this a couple times. Like, they're really in the playoffs now. Like, you lose 2 or 3 games, like, you're in big trouble. So hopefully the Pels can get that squared away and get off to a good start at home coming up tomorrow. All right, still chatting with Angel Reese up there. Now they're going to most outstanding player. It looks like they've moved on from the can't see me stuff, and they're actually talking about something that might be considered relevant. So that's a good thing. And I'm looking over at the Golf Channel, and they got the Masters coverage going on, and that is where my evening will be dedicated before the national championship game. Got to get some Masters coverage. One of the best weeks of the year, but I'm not going to talk too much about the Masters here because I know that most of y'all not really interested in hearing about a ton of it. If you want to go back and listen to anything that we did today on demand, 1045ESPN.com is your one-stop shop there. You can find all of our shows on the on-demand tab. All the audio is uploaded each and every day. If you're more of a Google, Apple Podcast, or Spotify listener, we're there as well. Search The Hunt Palmer Show. You can find us. You can subscribe, like, rate, review. All of it is right there. And our video producers back in Taylor Sharp when he returns from this sizable honeymoon. Good for Taylor Sharp, who's been away for over a week now. When he comes back, he's great about putting up 10-minute clips of some of the stuff. We got a Saints channel. We've got an LSU channel. You got Hunt on LSU. You got Hunt on Saints. Subscribe to those. You'll get all of our content right to your fingertip. We had the first 30 minutes of the show dedicated to the Lady Tigers winning the national championship last night. My thoughts on the game, my thoughts on the season as a whole, my thoughts on the officiating, my thoughts on technical fouls, all there in the first 30 minutes. And then I turned my attention to LSU baseball over the last 30 minutes of hour number 1, specifically what LSU does in the starting rotation. Your thoughts on the men's national title game tonight? I like UConn minus the 7. SEC baseball thoughts, and then Michael Cobble from WBRZ, good enough to join us. Jimmy Ott's Game Time tonight with Hanny from 6 to 8. Matt's about to drive you home on After Further Review. See you tomorrow at 1 on Palmer Show.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust poll of the day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench anytime.